Welcome to this episode of Hip Hop History. This week we are getting to the first album by the artist we covered last week, the one and only Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor. The title of the album refers to the various food and liquor stores in Chicago neighborhoods. It also refers to the constant tug of war between good, which he equates with food, and evil, which is the liquor. The title is a philosophy that Fiasco believes about human nature. He went on to elaborate. In Chicago, instead of having bodegas like in New York, the majority of the corner stores are called food and liquor, the stores where everything is at, whether it be the wino hanging by the store, or as us kids going back and forth to the store to buy something. The food is the good part, and the liquor is the bad part. I try to balance out both parts of me. Prior to the release of Food and Liquor, Fiasco was one of Rolling Stone's magazine's list of artists to watch in 2006. In April 2006, the entire album was leaked onto the internet, which resulted in it being shelved. With the leak of the album, Fiasco was heralded as the potential savior of hip-hop by critics, as well as fellow recording artists such as Kanye West and Pharrell Williams. In response to the leak, Fiasco recorded additional songs for the album. Despite stating he would only work with Prolific and Soundtrack, the producers, he also worked with other producers such as West and Pharrell and Mike Shinoda. Recording sessions took place at First and 15 Studios in Chicago, Illinois, the Recording Plant Studios in Hollywood, California, and Right Track Studios in New York City, New York. Prior to its release, Fiasco had to make several last-minute changes due to sampling issues. Food and Liquor contains elements of Midwest hip-hop and alternative hip-hop. Fiasco covers a wide variety of subjects on the album. The opening track begins with Fiasco chanting the opening lines of the Quran in Arabic. The following track, Real, is a reflection of making music on which he doesn't have to be ashamed. Kick Push, the album's lead single, is about a young male and his love for skateboarding. The lyrics follow the skateboarder through many stages of his life, such as his childhood, finding love, marriage, and adulthood. Although the literal meaning of the song is skateboarding, the actual meaning of the song is rejection and being criticized for doing what one loves.
Need to ride yours, I got mine right here. So she took him to a spot he didn't know about. Some odd in the apartment parking lot. She said, I don't normally take dates in here. Security came and said, I'm sorry, there's no skating here. And so they kick, push, kick, push, kick.
On the instrumental, he addresses addiction to television. He Say, She Say deals with the story of a single mother and a child lacking a father figure. The Cool follows the story of a dead gangster who rises from the grave and returns to the hood where he lived and died. Hurt Me Soul deals with the displacement and alienation from his neighborhood. American Terrorist discusses the misconception of Islam in America and issues of racism and gun culture. The song had originally sampled a song by Chick Corea, but due to sampling issues, it was never clear. For example, the song opens with
nooses on our necks and a smallpox blanket to keep us warm on us.
The album concludes with Lupe reading off an extensive appreciation list of people who helped with the album. The album cover of Food and Liquor was designed by Chuck Anderson and Righteous Kung Fu. It was inspired by a skateboard deck Fiasco owned. The cover shows Fiasco floating in air surrounded by several items, including a Banksy postcard, a Nintendo DS, a sketchbook, the Quran, and a robot. He explained that the items were picked out carefully, as they were things he carried around every day. In the liner notes, Fiasco parodies drug dealing by replacing liquor with food and cookies, and drive-by shootings by replacing guns with books. Food and Liquor received widespread acclaim from music critics. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the album received an average score of 83 based on 20 reviews. Food and Liquor debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200, selling 81,000 copies in its first week. As of January 2008, it went on to sell 325,000 copies in the United States. As of September 22, 2001, the album is certified gold. The album was named Best Hip Hop Album of 2006 by several publications and was ranked within several year-end lists. It was also one of the best reviewed albums of 2006 by Metacritic. The album was also included in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. The album earned Fiasco 3 nominations at the 2007 49th Grammy Awards: Best Rap Album, Best Rap Solo Performance, and Best Rap Song for Kick Push. In 2008, Daydreamin' won the award for Best Urban Alternative Performance at the 50th Grammy Awards. The first international single off the album was Kick Push. The second single in Europe was Daydreamin' featuring Jill Scott, which features a sample of I Monster's cover of Daydream in Blue. The second single in the US and the third international single was I Gotcha, which was produced by the Neptune. The song's video was featured on MTV's Making the Video. Fiasco held a poll on his MySpace profile, which fans were able to vote for which songs they wanted to make into a music video. Now, let's go over the track list, writers, producers, and if any samples were used. Intro, writing by Wasula Jacko, who is Lupe Fiasco, Aisha Jacko, who is his sister, and Kanye West. Produced by Chris and Drop. Real, featuring Sarah Green, writing by Jacko, Harvey Mason, Kenny Mason, and Rudolph Lopez. Lopez. Produced by Soundtrack, includes a sample of How Does It Feel by Harvey Mason. Just Might Be Okay featuring Gemini, writing by Jocko, Paul Humphrey, and David Ewing Jr. Produced by Prolific, includes a sample of Humphrey's Overture, written by Paul Humphrey. Kick Push, writing by Jocko and Lopez, produced by Soundtrack, includes a sample of Mactaxel, Man Akau, Bolaroid Melody by Celeste the Gospi. I Gotcha, writing by Jocko and Pharrell Williams, produced by The Neptunes. The instrumental featuring Jonah Matranga, writing by Jocko, Chris Robin, John Gutenberger, Jonah Matranga, Sean Lopez, and Mike Shinoda, produced by Shinoda, includes a sample of Nestle by Far. He Say She Say, featuring Gemini and Sarah Green, writing by Jocko, Burt Bacharach, Hal Brown, and Lopez, produced by Soundtrack, includes a sample of The Last One to Be Loved by Burt Bacharach, Mesopotamia by B-52s. Sunshine, writing by Jocko and Lopez, produced by Soundtrack, includes a sample Friend to Friend by Diana Ross.
Couldn't see, had the hood on me like Abu Ghraib, but I like to thank the streets that drove me crazy, and all the televisions out there that breaks me. I was
Daydreamin', featuring Jill Scott, writing by Jocko, Craig Kallman, Dave McKay, Raymond Vincent, Silver Van Holman, produced by Craig Kallman. Includes the sample of Daydreamin' Blue by I Monster.
Grabbed onto some grass and climbed, pulled himself up out of his own grave, and looked at the time on the watch that had stopped 6 months after the shots that had got him in the box, wringing Henny out his socks. Figured it was hours because he wasn't older. Used some flowers to brush the dirt up off his shoulders. So with a right hand,
The Cool, writing by Jocko, Dexter Wansel, and Kanye West, produced by Kanye, includes the sample of Life on Mars by Dexter Wansel and Funky Drummer by James Brown. Hurt Me Soul, writing by Jocko, Mary Sawyer, Cara Kane, and Danny Camillo, produced by Needles, contains a sample of Stay With Me by the Cecil Holmes Soulful Sounds and The Evils by Jay-Z. Pressure, featuring Jay-Z, writing by Jocko, Bill Schnee, Mike Melvone, Ewing Jr., and Sean Carter, produced by Prolific, includes a sample of Pressure Cooker by Thelma Houston.
Shorty ain't learned to walk, already heavily armed. Civilians and little children is especially harmed. Camouflage Taurus, Bibles and glorious Qurans. The books that take you to heaven and let you meet the Lord there have become misinterpreted reasons for warfare.
American Terrorist, featuring Matthew Santos, writing by Jocko, Armando Correa, and Ewing Jr., produced by Prolific, includes a sample of The Romantic Warrior by Return to Forever. The Emperor's Soundtrack, writing by Jocko, Michael Schneeker, and Lopez, produced by Soundtrack, includes a sample of Between the Walls by UFO. Kick Push 2, writing by Jocko and Brandon Howard, produced by Howard. Outro, writing by Jocko, produced by Chris and Drop. The iTunes Deluxe Edition bonus track, Theme Music to a Drive-By, writing by Jocko, Leroy Bell, Tom Bell, and Casey James, produced by Prolific, includes a sample of Do It, No One Does It Better by The Spinners. The limited edition CD bonus tracks, titled, writing by Jocko and Kane, produced by Needles. Carrera Lou, writing by Jocko, Ewing Jr., Michael Beal, Wade Flemings, Verdine White, Maurice White, and Don Whitehead, produced by Prolific, includes a sample of Bad Tune by Earth, Wind & Fire. And What It Do, writing by Jocko, Howard, and Sidney Miller, produced by Howard. The 5th anniversary edition bonus tracks were Theme Music to a Drive-By, titled Carrera Lou, and What It Do, which we already covered. The woman who recites the poem in the intro is Aisha Jocko, which is Lupe's sister. She is also who does the poem in the intro to The Cool. Righteous Kung Fu with the creative direction and cover art, Chuck Anderson with the cover art, Maria Acerto with photography, Craig Bauer and Patrick Viella with the mixing, James R. Warder with mixing and a mixing assistant, Jeff Breakley and Ryan Newshafer as mixing assistants as well, Chili Chill as executive producer and management, Andrew Coleman and Greg Maggers as engineer, Rowan Duchich as engineer and mixing, Patrick Fong as design, Brian Gartner as vocal engineer, Chris Gayringer with the mastering, Will Quinnell as mastering assistant, Reed Mountain, Man Taylor as assistant engineer, Darrell Jones and Jay-Z as executive producers. I mean, you've heard it from me. I told you what the critics thought. I told you what Kanye West, Pharrell Williams, and even Jay-Z said about the man's music. If you don't know by now, if you aren't convinced by now, there is no chance of convincing you. I'm convinced. Lupe is a top-tier MC, like I said last episode. He's dropping a new album this year that is said to be in the Album of the Year talks. So, we shall see. Regardless, do yourself a favor and listen to the work this genius has provided us. Thank you, Lupe Fiasco, for this album in particular and all of your work, both on wax and more importantly, what you've provided off wax. Thank you, and thank you for listening to this episode of Hip Hop History. Please like, subscribe, and leave a review where possible. Thank you, and have a great day.